We now have this alleged whistleblower who is saying, we don't have confirmation of everything yet, but he's saying that ABC gave out sample questions to Dome for the debate. Lindsay Lip Injections had a little puff piece written for her in the LA Times where she basically admitted it. She couldn't hold herself back. Of course, they can never control themselves. She basically came right out and said, look, I mean, they didn't fact check him last time, and that really hurt Joe Biden, so we had to fact check him. They just come out and admit these things. And I want you to understand something. The media, they do this all the time. They're not going to stop. They're not ashamed of what they did. They're going to do it over and over and over again. And so I wanted to play something from Kamala Harris for you really quickly, because we're going to leave. I want to do other stuff, but I want you to wrap your mind around this. I know it's been a dark show. I can't help it. There's a lot of dark stuff out there. So I'm going to hand you something, and it's going to be a lot, but just know that I'm right on this. There is an economic disaster coming. It can't be stopped. It's not possible. Trump, the Republicans, there's nothing that can stop it. We have spent so much money. The interest now outweighs defense spending. And this is at a time where nobody, Republicans or Democrats, are going to cut a dime. We are heading into a disaster. Whatever that looks like, global depression, most likely, moving off of the dollar as the reserve currency. There is an economic disaster coming that may exceed anything in the history of the United States of America. It's coming. You can't spend and print money on this level. It's coming, right? Knowing that, I want you to watch this interview. You've probably already seen bits and pieces of it. I want you to watch Kamala Harris be interviewed on this station in Philadelphia. Knowing a fiscal disaster is coming and can't be stopped, I want you to think about this person leading us during it.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, you know, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, you know, but a lot of people will relate to this. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, you know?
Yeah. Anyway. J.D. Vance did put on a nice little class on how our politicians should treat these people. He might have been a little nice for my taste, but he's doing well.
These calls from the constituents. Dana, and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer.
That's well done. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.